Our main meeting. Start by pledging to our flag. The pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for that. We have a few housekeeping items to go over very briefly. The Township videos all of our public meetings, and then they're posted on the website. I'd like to thank Nick and Zach from Susquehanna High School for coming here and doing that work for us and for our residents. Public has a right to record these meetings. However, they must announce at the beginning of the meeting that they're recording it. And finally, we have a microphone up here. So when you address the board, please come up and state your name and address and before you speak. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Anything else? I know what I just said. Okay. There's an agenda in the back. First item is approval of the minutes from our April 1st meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Vote aye.
Aye. As I said before, earlier meetings, we get a packet about a week before our meetings. It has the minutes in it and the trade report, and so we have a chance to read it before our meeting. So it may appear that we're rushing through things that we've already read and so forth, various items. Next item is the Treasury report for the April 2015 meeting. It's the Treasury, it'd be a current Treasury report for the month of April, basically. Is there a motion to approve the Treasury report?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Next item is public comment. You can talk any subject you want to talk about, discuss, up to 5 minutes. And, yes.
Testing.
Jim Montanarelli, come on up.
I just came basically down to make an announcement. This Thursday night, the Heroin Task Force is coming to town. We're going to be down at Shrewsbury Elementary School. It's at the district attorney's office.
Well, what task force?
The Heroin Task Force.
Heroin, okay.
It's sponsored by the district attorney's office.
Right.
And they're coming to town to give a presentation down at Shrewsbury Elementary School. And we're just trying to make sure we get the word out to as many people as possible. There's been a significant increase in heroin deaths over the last year. So anybody who would like to come, it's free, just come. It's 2 hours long, it's a good presentation. They've been all over the county, this is the fourth one. So we're going to try to get as many people out as possible.
Tell us about it. What's the...
Well, it's Pam Gay from the coroner's office. She's pretty much the head of it. Dave Sunday, who's the assistant district attorney. They're coming down to teach people about what the consequences are of using heroin.
Okay.
Most people realize that heroin's a one-way street. So they're going to come in. It's a 2-hour presentation. It's basically the first hour is to tell people the consequences, what can be done, what the signs of it are. The second hour is open to people to ask questions. We've had a couple deaths just in the last 3 weeks here, so it's growing very quickly. So I encourage everybody. It's the 21st, Thursday the 21st, from 7 to 9 at Shrewsbury Elementary School. And I encourage everybody to come down, even if you don't have children. It really does affect everybody's family. So if you have the time, please come down.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else have an address the board? Or address all of us? Raise your hand and move on. Ordinances and resolutions. We have a small change, a housekeeping change. Todd, you want to introduce it to everybody, please?
Yeah, this was addressed through Megan and Keith, who's brought to our attention. We've been getting more and more phone calls in regard to people wanting to have chickens, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever in their backyard. And in looking at chapter 2 of our code book, which addresses animals, It defines small animals, any poultry, chicken, turkey, geese, and so forth. But then our ordinance also references livestock, and it tells you to refer to our zoning ordinance. And when you refer to the zoning ordinance and the definition of livestock, addresses poultry and so forth. So there's a conflict as to which ordinance you should be following. And Keith believes that we should keep it under the zoning regulations. So as you see, what's proposed as an amendment to the animal chapter, which is chapter 2, is under the definition of small animal, is to remove the wording "and any domestic fowl such as chicken, turkey, goose, duck, or pigeon, except homing pigeons."
All right.
So I didn't know if you want to think about that, or if you're comfortable with it, authorized to be advertised for next month.
I think we can, I would prefer to move ahead with it. It's not a earth-shaking change, it's a justifiable change. How does the rest of the board feel?
Fine.
I like it. We'll entertain a motion then to move forward with this change.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor? Vote aye.
Aye.
Under subdivision and land development, Midsummer Manor, 6-lot subdivision, Windy Hill Road. Turn it over to you, Keith, for your overview on this thing.
We have the preliminary plan for subdivision on Windy Hill Road, which is adjacent to the Township Park, Windy Hill Park. As you can see here, I think we've seen this plan before, there's 5 lots proposed for subdivision. This approximate 1.5 acres is proposed to be dedicated to the township and added to Windy Hill Park, which borders this side and this side. Anyway, they're going through the plan review process and so forth. The plan has not been brought before the Planning Commission or the board at this point. However, we started recommending that they get the waivers through so that they can be added to the plan before they actually go to Planning Commission. So there's 4 waiver requests which have been reviewed by staff as well as the Planning Commission, and both groups recommended approval of the waivers. The first one is relief from filing a preliminary plan. Second one is to reduce the distance between minor streets. The third is reduce the number of monuments, which is the concrete corner markers. And that number, as determined by the Planning Commission, would be at the discretion of the township engineer to make sure that we had adequate monuments, but not at every point. Fourth one is to not require concrete curbs, and the fifth is not require sidewalks. And again, we made that recommendation because there are none out in that area now.
How much of a difference is there between what is required between minor streets and what this will be here in this
What does
land?
that mean? Because that, I don't understand that.
Well, that means we don't want to have 2 minor streets coming out within 20 feet of each other. There should be a certain distance. So you can have smooth travel.
I can pull that up here quickly if you want me to. This section 536. Large file takes a little bit to load.
But
I don't recall what the distance is, but Paul explained it is, you don't want 2 streets coming out within 10 feet of each other or something, causes a problem. But I don't recall what the distance is.
But it isn't that much bigger of a deal, because I don't see any.
yeah, I don't either.
I'm trying to think where the street would even come out, I think it's coming.
Yeah, because the nearest,
Park Slaughter.
the nearest would be,
It's in Whitford.
Okay, well, apparently it's not an issue. I'm just curious. So,
The other thing we could do here quickly, just to give you an idea, what's up here?
It's about 500 feet.
Yeah, well, the county parcel.
500 feet seems stupid in my mind. That's okay.
Okay, let me find it right here. Yeah, it looks like it's Arkansas.
Which is the other side of the
Yeah, because here's the parcel that we're looking at, this one right here. So there'll be a new street right here, but serving only 5 homes. And the nearest street then is Arkansas.
Well, the engineer looked at it and felt it was safe, so, right?
Yes,
Our engineer, all right.
it's roughly 270 feet.
Is 500 the standard?
I don't know, I'm
That's
sorry
all
if you want me to look at
No, I don't.
I
Don't
know
worry about
it was discussed at staff, I just don't remember what the numbers were in planning commission.
Look at all the houses you got coming out on the street, so I mean, what's the difference?
Good point.
I mean, you got all those driveways coming out, what's the difference?
Well, there's a difference, but
There's not much.
it's not major.
It's
Okay,
a
well,
dead-end street.
Yeah, it's a through street.
Yeah.
5 houses there.
I'm going to call for the vote to approve these 5 waivers. You don't need a motion. Need a motion.
Need a motion? right?
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm going to call for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Keep Coat, Plan 2, Phase 3. Todd, you want to introduce this matter?
Let's pull that one up as well. Let me pull the plan up first, that might be a little easier to explain. I don't know if you recall, this part is in Shrewsbury Township, to the right is the borough. They came through at one point and they subdivided this parcel off here, which had a house on it. And the remaining of this was parcel number 2, which was just woods at that time. When this subdivision was done, which included some areas over here and this was identified as the open space area. And by open space, it doesn't necessarily mean it's open to the public, but it had to be preserved in the trees or whatever state it's in. Of course, this, I believe, was 8-lot subdivision came through. And now they're looking to subdivide this parcel, which I know they got approval from the borough for water and sewer. So what they've done is they've come back and have asked for a reapproval is what it would be, because we've already acted on this plan with conditions. It hasn't been recorded yet. But they want to insert this page as page 3. And this area that you see in green is what would be dedicated as their required green space area, which actually exceeds what their minimum requirements are. And if you look here on the plan, note 23, here it states open space for the project has been provided in accordance with section 906 of the Township zoning ordinance and is shown on sheet 3 of this plan. And the plan, the note before simply stated open space for the entire project has been provided on lot 8 of phase 1 in accordance with section 906 of the Shrewsbury Township zoning ordinance. Then refer to Heath Code Plan 2 phase 1, final minor subdivision land development plan, and then record book 2187, page 8529.
They're required to only clear no more than 14,000 square feet.
That is correct.
And now they're coming along this, and they're required to have 20% of the site has to be retained as open space.
Correct. Which before was allocated for the entire project to this parcel.
But they want to.
So they still cannot exceed 14,000 square feet per
They
lot.
want to develop that parcel.
Right, and they can meet their open space requirements on this subdivision within those
It's
lots.
kind of interesting though, because the 14,000 square feet maximum clearing was designed to preserve the wooded areas, or minimize the loss of the wooded areas. And they're using it for a dual purpose now. They're gonna say, well, we're gonna gain our open space requirement as well as preserve the trees. Right?
But that could, if this lot didn't exist, and it was just this parcel with 8 lots, that would still happen.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to follow this.
Yeah.
I'm not being too critical here right now, but
I mean, this fully meets the requirements of the ordinance.
Did you say lot 8 is in the township?
Yes, that's lot 8.
But next to it, the borough has public water and sewer.
Yes, this here has, these lots all have public water and sewer, as will these. These have been approved with public water and sewer as well.
And what did you say you wanted to do with
And
lot
then
8?
they've gone to the borough to subdivide this into 3 lots, and they went to the borough for water and sewer. But again, we haven't received any formal plan on this at all.
How big is lot 8? I can't see this.
It is.
Can't see it. Can you?
I can't either, so.
I question,
Well,
is this,
too good. I don't see, someone else see it on there, I don't.
How big is the lot next to it? Can you- They have to say that on those lots, they always do.
Well, on the ones that are part of the active plan. But see, this is considered adjacent property, because that was not part of this subdivision. Because that was subdivided off in a previous subdivision.
The road goes back to it,
But if you look at this here,
What's the dimensions on it?
this here is,
It's about 314. What's the other side of it, Todd? The other side of that lot? Pretty close, isn't it?
By my rough eyes, Bill, looks like it's about 350 by about 150, which I come out to 52,000 square feet,
Yeah.
a little more than an acre.
Over an acre. That's what I thought.
That's just a rough number.
well, the size of the buildable area is probably about 14,000 square feet, isn't it? That's the most of the deal. All right, well, Attorney Butler, the purpose of the preserving some wooded areas is just that, so the whole site wouldn't be cleared. Now they're coming back in and say, well, we're going to use it for another purpose as well. We're going to use it to meet our required open space, which is I guess that's okay. I mean, we don't prohibit it.
I see you, like I was, testing what it is that the developer is proposing here. Are they trying to get around our ordinances?
Yes.
It seems to me that what they're proposing here complies with it. They're required to dedicate a minimum amount of open space, which is going to be retained as open space, whether it's wooded or not, right?
So open space, right?
Right, before they had allocated A, and now they're allocating the same or an equal size, which is distributed among the 5 lots, or the 6 lots, am I correct?
yes, distributed among all of them.
So there'll be restrictive covenants, I assume, on those lots, saying this particular section needs to be remain in open space. Now, open space is,
No,
Need a shed or no shed?
there are specific requirements, Todd, that they have to somehow put up, during construction, they got to put up a fence to keep the development up. Trucks and all.
No, I don't think our ordinance requires fencing or anything, no. Because it's on the recorded plan that they can't build a shed or a garage or a barn in there. And and they can't just go in and arbitrarily cut down the trees, because they'll be in violation of the subdivision plan.
But there may be additional regulations that says that when the site's being developed for a home site, you've got to put some sort of barrier so they don't, you get.
Well, one thing is, we review the covenants before we record the plan, and we can make sure there's some type of notation in there. So that,
All right, we beat this to death.
It seems to me that this complies with the ordinance. The only drawback I see is the monitoring that perhaps is going to be required in the next 20 years. Keep an eye on it to make sure that it's compliant. It's certainly not as clear as saying that's an open space area, but it does comply with the ordinance as far as I'm concerned.
I think the enforcers are going to be the neighbors, possibly, and then not the township. All right, well, what action are we expected to take on this? And
if the board's okay with it, need a motion and a second, and then a vote to reapprove the plan with that note change on page 1, note 23 change, and then the insertion of this page 3.
is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I hesitated myself, but our Lord,
I,
we were no choice. Okay, the next item on the agenda is maintenance bond release for Russet Farm.
Yes, that has expired. It was in the amount of $31,313. There were a couple inspections conducted by the township engineer. Their last inspection confirmed that all the items have been addressed. So just need formal authorization from the board to release that bond for Russet Farm.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. 4 ayes. Okay, Todd, reports. We'll start with the manager.
Yeah, just on page 2 regarding the winter maintenance supplies, the road salt. I think I reported last month that under the contract, either Morton Salt was to deliver our salt within 7 business days, or else we could assess a $100 penalty per load per business day. Our first order was placed February 18th. I'm talking about the first order, which we didn't get response within 7 days. That ended up going, it's just about 5 weeks before we got that order. And then we had placed one on March 3rd, and that went another probably month. We made numerous phone calls, got a different story every time, of course. When I went to PSAT's conference, I understood that there's a lot of other municipalities that had the same issue. When we received our last 2 invoices, which totaled $17,820, I did the calculations, I sent a letter back to them, and basically between the 2, they owe us $1,200. And liquidated damages were calculated at $18,900, and that was for about 285 tons of salt. Needless to say, I got a phone call from Morton and told me that's unacceptable. I reminded him of the terms of the contract, and I said, I think it's unacceptable when we have a responsibility and obligation to our taxpayers, and you agreed and you signed a contract with the state, and we were given erroneous information, no one communicated with us, and you didn't deliver what you promised, and that's what I think is unacceptable. And then he toned down a little bit and he said, well, I would just ask that you maybe give us some leniency. And I said, think about it. The only thing I would suggest, if anything, the difference is the difference is $1,079. Tell them not to cut a check for $1,079, and they give us credit for $17,820.
You recommend that?
Yeah, I mean,
what are the other municipalities doing to them?
there's a lot that haven't done anything.
I mean, it was a rough winter. I thought we had sold salt to some other townships where we had
We
plenty of
did,
salt.
but we had plenty at that time, and we were getting deliveries. You know, we called and ordered, we were getting deliveries.
Fine, well,
But we did help out Shrewsbury Borough, who had none, and Cadorus Township, who had none.
But did we
At that
run out-
time-
Did we run out because of it, or we?
No, well, we didn't run out, but we did start cutting back on our mix. We weren't doing 100% salt, we were doing 50/50. We got through. But you know, when I was at PSATs, there was some discussion, you know, some were doing the liquidated damages, others were not. Some said, well, if you do the liquidated damages, you know, they're gonna increase their bid next year. Well, they're not the only ones out there, so I don't think they'll do that. And the other thing is, you know, my thoughts are, if you have that clause in there, and you're not going to enforce it, why bother having it?
all right, so your recommendation to the board?
My recommendation to the board is that we waive them sending us a check for $1,079, but that we apply the liquidated damages to pay those last 2 invoices.
I'll make that as one other motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I vote aye.
So,
Aye.
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 Now, you skipped down the bottom of that second page.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone, I didn't have anything else to elaborate
Well,
on the other items.
There's an issue here about the tree situation. Where's that?
Oh, I did, while you were on vacation, I did get a call from the YMCA, and they're working with the daycare center, and they told me that the contractor, the landscape contractor they're working with suggested they not plant until fall. And so she said they will have it done by October 15th.
You know, I never in my life saw such indifference to the planting and maintaining trees which are required. They just throw them in, they don't care for them, you know, and then a certain percent of them die, and they break their tree replacing it.
Well, last winter, a lot of people lost a lot, we lost a lot of trees and shrubs and plants. It was
Well,
a tough winter, I mean, if you have.
this started long
It's
before.
been-
Oh, I know.
It started long before that.
It's
Yeah.
been a very dry spring.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough.
I'll say this, and you may say, well, why don't you go and live in England? But they have a much greater interest in trees and gardens over there than we do here. We have a great indifference here. And, except for Sue's house.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can do a lot better. All right, that's it.
I do have 3 other quick things. The Memorial Day week, because of that holiday being on Monday, trash and recycling will be delayed 1 day. So if your trash and recycling is normally Thursday, you'll get it picked up on Friday. If it's Friday, you'll get it picked up on Saturday.
What else you have?
Sightslin Road, we got a call today from PennDOT. Sightslin Road is going to be closed for about 4 days starting next Tuesday. PennDOT needs to replace a pipe, and they'll have detour signs up and so forth. And last thing is, of course, Election Day is tomorrow. Dennis has been very nice to let us hold our meeting tonight, so if anyone has 5 minutes after the meeting to help us tear down chairs and stack them up, we would appreciate it. And that is all I have.
Thank you very much, Bob. Next item is the sanitary sewer. This will involve Iceland community. You're going to give us an update on.
Yeah, again, you know, construction's been completed, they're out there now, they pretty much wrapped up all their asphalt, road, driveway restoration work. They're working on the lawn restoration, everything should be wrapped up by mid-May. And once that's all done, then the engineer will be sitting down to start to pull all the final costs together so we can calculate what their tapping fees will be.
Your report is very detailed, and we thank you for that. So that completes your report to the board.
Yes.
Our attorney is a man of few words, so anyway, he has a chance to inform us of anything we should be involved with, know about, whatever.
Well, all I consider my job to give you as much background beforehand, so that I can be a man of
report in your pack. Zoning officer report, the maintenance report, the engineering report, and the planning commission minutes. Any comments on any of those? Seeing none, we'll move on to supervisor's comments. Anybody want to say about any subject? All right. Old business. Park improvements project. Todd?
Just to update everyone, this is for Windy Hill, Winchester, and Hangtown Parks. Bids will be opened, if everything goes well, on May 22nd. And the hope is that they get reviewed and a recommendation will be made by LSM, and the board can hopefully award a contract at the June 4th meeting.
You want to just, in a few sentences, explain to the people here what these projects entail
Sure.
and what parks are involved?
With Windy Hill Park, we'll be getting an extension of the walking path. The ball field that would be to the north side of the park has an embankment around it, and there's a lot of erosion, so we'll be putting in a retaining wall, which will actually also serve as bleacher seats. Then we'll be removing the old swing set that's there now to the north of the building, and that whole play area will be moved again closer to the ball field, which I just mentioned, and that will get a new youth lot, play lot, and a top lot for smaller children. Then at Winchester Park, everyone knows where the Glenrock Gun Club is.
Exactly.
You know where that is? That park currently has a very outdated and dilapidated basketball court, and it also has a set of swings. That's going to get a regulation size half court, put in some handicap parking, walking paths, some benches, and there'll be 3 or 4 pieces of new play equipment along with a picnic bench and a couple of trees. And then in Hangtown Park, the majority of that work is going to be handicap accessibility around the pavilion, and so that you can get up into the play area. We'll be adding 2 new pieces of play equipment, and then we'll also be putting a handicap accessible path halfway out. We'll be on the side toward 83 of the soccer field, and we'll also include some new benches for spectators in that park. The Windy Hill Park and Winchester Park, they're matching grants through Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. We received a $120,000 grant, and then we'll match that with $120,000. And then Hangtown Park is some of the Act 13 funds, which is the Marcellus Shale grant funds, and we received that money from York County Commissioners, and that's a matching grant as well. The total project is $60,000, $30,000 is from Shrewsbury Township funds, and $30,000 will be from the Marcellus Shale funds.
So the taxpayers will be paying $150,000 to update the parks.
Correct. Yes.
On Miller Park, would you review with us, you're expanding the parking area.
Yeah, we did budget to expand the existing parking area to pretty much double the size of it, because parking's an issue there now. And then on our master plan for future expansion, it did show this parking lot expansion. All we're doing this year is simply doing the grading, the ballast, the stone, and some stormwater work, and we'll allow, people visiting to park on that lot. That'll give it about a year to do some settling and so forth. And then we'll budget next year to put in the curbing and to asphalt that as well.
And we're going to include a rain garden.
Yes.
And also, we're going to extend the trail from the new parking lot extension through the woods along Strawberry Road, and then come around and come back to the parking lot. It's going to be about half a mile, I think. And then the park is 22 acres, and we're going to review our plans as it's stated, right, Todd?
Correct. Yeah, I'm getting a price on that now.
Any questions about the parks? Let's move on. Zoning ordinance amendments.
Yeah, of course, May 6th, we didn't have our meeting, but we do need to, at this meeting, we were talking about doing the final public hearing at 7 o'clock at the June 3rd meeting. And then, if everything goes well later in that meeting, to actually adopt those amendments. So just need the board to formally authorize advertisement of that ordinance for the June 3rd meeting.
Is there a motion to that effect? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Vote aye.
No,
Now, this started about a year and a half or 2 years ago, these amendments, right?
A little over 2 years ago.
And you're the guardian or the caretaker of the ordinance, of the,
And everything is available online
okay?
to view.
But because it won't change at all now that we've gotten this far. So thank God for that. All right. Moving on to new business. The 5 mile or 5,000 fun run.
Yeah, the 5K fun run? Yeah. We had a request from Glen Rock Borough for the Glen Rock Arts and Brew Fest, which is May 30th. And they're just asking, and this is a very crude drawing, but just to give you an idea where the route is. They'll start here in the borough, come up Hanover Street, down Glenview, and where you see I have these lines, and then the heavier lines. This is all Township road, and some of it's state as well. So they're just asking for authorization for that 5K run.
Is there a motion to that effect?
yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
Aye.
Bill goes first. You know, that's the second time we did that. We're trying to vote in some sequence here. Aye. 4 ayes. Transferable development rights for Evelyn and Raymar. You may want to give a little bit of background with this thought. You're ahead of me, I would assume.
Oh, come on. There we go. Give you an idea here. For those that are familiar with transferable development rights, in the agricultural zone of the zoning ordinance, there's a table that's been in existence since November 1976, and it's based on the number of acres that you have, which determines the number of development rights that you have. So in this particular request, we had 3 lots that are contiguous. However, they were not contiguous on November 10th of 1976. So each one is looked at independently, but it's all under one request and one property owner. So in this particular case, this parcel here, and I know it's a little hard to see with it being a colored map, has 4 development rights allocated to it. There's one that's required for the existing home. They did not sell any, and there were no lots subdivided from here, so there's 3 remaining. This particular parcel, they have 5 development rights allocated. There's 1 home, which they have to keep 1 development right for, so that means 4 development rights remaining. This parcel here was part of a larger parcel, which included some parcels here and then 1 down below. But in addition, when you pull the subdivision plan and you review that, when this was subdivided, it was a very clear note that there were no development rights allocated to this parcel, and it was assigned and made a part of this particular parcel. So this one has 0 available, and so there's of course 0 TDRs. So they have a total of 9 development rights between all these parcels, and 7 of them are available as TDRs, transferable development rights, which means they can sell them to a property owner in the receiving district, or they could subdivide up to 7 lots. 3 off of this parcel and 4 off of this one.
They're in agreement with this.
Yes.
I make the motion to accept this.
We have a motion to approve this, what we call it here, transfer of loan rights agreement. We have a motion to approve it. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Vote aye.
Aye. Bid awards for road material.
Yeah, this is our annual bid that we put out in the spring for stone, asphalt, emulsion, and the calibrated chipping. We had, for the calibrated chipping, we had 3 bidders. That was for 70,000 square yards, and the lowest bid was Stewart and Tate at $158,900. And then the emulsion, we had 4 bidders. That was for 10,000 gallons, and their low bid was $22,420. Those 2 items would come out of our liquid fuels fund. And then for the asphalt and the stone, which comes out of our general fund, we had 3 bidders for the asphalt. The lowest bid, and it's for 4 different types of material, cold patch to wearing course to binder. But the total unit price for all 4 of those items, the lowest bid is $413,175. And then for the stone, again, we had 3 bidders, and it is 9 items that we bid, ranging from ballast to anti-skid to screenings to riprap. What we do is just total those bids, and that lowest bid was Kinsley Materials at $26,650. So my recommendation, I have that spelled out in my memo to you, are the ones I just read to you. So if you find that agreeable, if you could vote to accept those bids to the lowest bidders.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a question on the discussion. Is this what you contemplated? These values, these costs are within what we figured to be reasonable, acceptable, so forth?
Yeah, I mean, they're in line with what we had last year.
Okay.
One thing to keep in mind, some of these quantities are up higher this year. One reason for the calibrated chipping, we're going to do a little more of that ourselves this year. But as you know, we also do some paving work for Glen Rock Borough and Railroad Borough. And this year, they added their material to our bid. So that's one reason the asphalt is up. But we'll get reimbursed by Glen Rock Borough for that material.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Pardon me?
Vote.
Oh, I vote aye.
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 Okay. Request for Marcellus Shell Funds, Sites in the Historic District. This is a very interesting matter. What it's all about.
Yeah, you heard me talk earlier about the Marcellus Shale Fund. County commissioners get a lump sum and they can allocate it to the parks. It has to be certain things, most of it's recreation. But anyway, I was approached by Dave Keller, who owns this property here, Dave Keller and Ellen Darby. They own this property here in Sitesland, it's adjacent to the rail trail. And if anyone's had the opportunity to down by and see it, he just has the outside shell pretty much complete. Well, a lot of it restored. There's still a lot to do, but it's already a major improvement over what's been there.
Certainly is.
And I'll show you down through here then what their artist rendition is of what it will look like. Anyway, this is also in that historic village overlay that we're doing in our zoning ordinance amendments. This is West Clearview, and this takes you down into Glen Rock, and then this is the little Baltimore street that loops back around and then comes out onto Pleasant Valley Road. What Dave, he was there meeting with some folks from the county, including Commissioner Chris Riley, and they were talking about the crossing here and some issues, and then they got to talking about They would like to construct a replica of an old train station where we stand, waiting for the train and so forth. It would be located on the Keller's property, but it would be within the county right-of-way. So it would become actually part of the county park. Mr. Keller is proposing to do all the labor himself, to do the work. And let me just show you here. This is what a rendition, artist rendition is of what that building would look like. Right now, none of the porch or the roofing or this balcony are there, or the ramp. But like I said, it's already a major improvement over what's already there.
Certainly it is.
Of course, you have to come across tracks catty corner to get over to this area here. And this is pretty much what it would look like. I guess they would have a pad down here of some sort. They would be behind the guide rail. But it'd be a replica to kind of show what the train landing would have been, back in historic days. Now, the estimated cost on this is $6,300. And the county, the commissioners, I went with Mr. Keller and Ms. Darby, and I went along with them. They sat down with all 3 county commissioners. All 3 of them are in favor of this project. But the way it works, the money cannot be allocated to private citizens. So since it's a county project, so to speak, being done by Mr. Keller on county property, the commissioners are proposing that Shrewsbury Township be the applicant. Mr. Keller does the work. We would have to pay for the material up front, just as we're doing with Town,
Right.
because it's a reimbursable grant. And then the county would reimburse us that amount.
And that's legal? Who's gonna insure that building? I mean, it just seems
It's
so
a county, it would
weird.
be a county.
Why wouldn't the rail trail apply for the grant?
It's something Mr. Keller wants to contribute to the county parks. They're
No, I get
donating
it,
all
no,
his
I
labor.
get it, yeah, I get it, but it just sounds so legally complicated to me. And I don't even understand why the rail trail wouldn't apply for the grant. Jim, do you know?
Well, the Rail Trail Authority, I think, would be an alternative for who would be a sponsor for a project like this. But I don't know too much about the authority, to what extent it has funding. I assume that the resident of the township came to the township first, just the production first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea, but I'm not sure that the township, since we don't own any of that property down there, I'm not sure why we would get involved, except it's a good idea, but I'm just saying, legally it scares me, that's all I'm saying. But I think it's a good idea, but it scares me.
So you are fearless. Don't tell us you're scared, because you've never been scared in your life.
Well, I'm not scared. But I anticipate problems that could arise, but I don't know. That's just my nature.
Dave's a very skilled,
Oh, yeah,
tremendous skill. I mean,
there's no problem with any of that. I'm just saying, I just don't understand why
That's
Rail
our,
Trail didn't apply for the grant.
that's our attorney.
I know they're applying for the $1 million grants to do
They may not have any more.
trail expansion, and while I think they find this as an added value, I don't think it's
Not
at
on
the
their
top of
list.
their priority list.
Right.
Because they're, like I said, they're going for the $500,000 $1 million grants to extend the trail.
Well, I asked them that our solicitor, do you see any legal issue or other related
It
issues?
doesn't strike me as being any more risky than a number of other projects that we undertake. I recognize we don't own anything down there, but the township itself probably doesn't own anything, and you run a lot of places that it gets involved.
With grant?
I think we all agree it's a good project.
It was a good project, there's
No.
no problem.
So what action we're going to,
Well, what I would need to do is if the board authorizes me to apply for the grant funding, I'll then submit a formal letter to the county commissioner. So what action I would need from the board is to authorize me to submit a grant request in the amount of $6,300 for this project.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion, any further discussion? Call for the vote. Vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hmm.
So we'll wait 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll-
I guess I'll vote aye, but I'm very apprehensive to put that in the minutes.
It's gonna be
The
all right.
legal jargon of it, that's
It's
all.
gonna be okay, Sue.
Okay.
Next item,
If you think we need additional protection, we can worry about that if we actually need a crane.
yeah, good point.
You have to remember, I'm an insurance agent too, okay? And there's boundary lines and there's all these things.
That's part of your problem.
That's a good thing.
Anyway, next item is request to rename Yellow Road to Sadler's Church Road.
Yeah, I actually received this request a couple of months ago. If you're going down 851, this takes you to Shrewsbury, this takes you to Stewartstown. There's a travel, there's a hog operation here, and Della Road cuts across here. Again, 851 goes through. And then this is Hopewell Township on this side of the stream, and then this is a stream on this side is Shrewsbury Township. So we have Della Road, just this little piece here, and then right here at the bridge begins Sadler's Church Road, which is a pretty lengthy road up into Hopewell Township. We actually had a request from the church to rename this, and Mike and I talked about it and so forth, and we thought about, well, maybe if we do that, we could close this one little leg. But I talked to the farmers in the area, and they're not in favor of that, so we just let that idea go. There are no properties that have a Della Road address, so it wouldn't require anyone to do an address change.
That's good.
And I did talk to these folks, and they actually would welcome it being Sadler's Church Road because it would be easier for directions for them to find their properties and so forth.
Enough said. Are you, anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, well, we need a motion to authorize renaming Della Road to Sadler's Church Road.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the letter of agreement between DAC and the township, basically.
Yeah, apologize. It doesn't look as dark on my screen as it does on the wall. This is Constitution Avenue is out here. YMCA is over in this area. This is Miller Park Drive coming back through, and then this is Miller Park. Extends down in this area. And then this is the stormwater basin that exists. The basin is here. And then here are some wetlands with some springs in them. They currently did a conversion of this stormwater basin. And we've actually have informally done some mowing around the top of that basin. We met with DAC owners, which is Conewaga Contractors. Paul and I met with them to talk about working out some kind of letter of agreement that would allow the township to use this area sort of as a nature park, a nature area with walking paths and so forth to make that an extension of our existing park here. So with that said, we drafted a letter to Mr. Lefevre. I wanted to run it by the board before I forwarded it on to them for consideration. But what it basically says, and something else keep in mind, we actually utilize the stormwater basin to capture our stormwater, so we're sort of part of that basin. And that serves all of that new commercial area where the district justice office is, daycare center, there's a dentist office back there. Basically what the letter says, and again, it's just a letter of understanding regarding cooperation on the part, is that DAC would allow the township public access to the property for residents that are using the park, as well as any of the neighboring properties in the development. It would be passive recreation, access for walking, jogging, nature trail. It would be constructed and maintained by the township. Would be to improve the natural beauty of the area of the trail, planting of non-invasive plants, trees, shrubs, and educational signage, some bird houses and so forth. The township would agree to maintain the portion of that property adjacent to the trail by mowing the area to allow public access. And again, that would mainly just be along the top berm of the basin. It wouldn't be mowing that entire parcel because we want to retain as much of that as a natural wildlife area as possible. Then it goes on to say the township would put appropriate signage and so forth at our expense. Then it also talks about, we would put in place the appropriate liability, which would be a certificate of insurance with them as named as co-insured.
They should be named as additional insureds under our policy, not also insured.
Okay.
Should we call it an additional insured if they'll do it? I'm not sure our insurance company will. I've asked them to do it before, they won't do it. We have a $10 million liability policy.
Sue, may I ask what's the difference between also insured and additionally insured?
I don't know, but the technical terminology
What's
under
that?
the insurance is additional insured.
Gotcha.
They share in the liability limit.
It also states that the township use of property will not alter or create new responsibility related to the use, maintenance, operation of the basin, and become effective when signed. And the agreement that will allow the township to utilize the property until both parties mutually agree to terminate the agreement.
And we also have applied for a grant which would provide trees.
Yeah, that's part of that grant that we applied for the stormwater basin retrofits. This was one of those basins, if you recall, I think we did that about 2 months ago.
And there's quite a few trees, 60 or 70 or 80.
Yeah.
And they're fairly large trees, so if that goes good.
So that would tie in with that grant.
Yeah, right.
Todd, before you put this thing, you should call Jeff and make sure that you can attach this piece of property. I'm sure you can, but just make sure that he can add them as additional insureds before you say it in here, and then we can't or something.
And we're also going to look into having this stormwater management basin, which dewaters after it fills up partially within an hour or a day or so, to have it maintain a amount of water, so it might not be going 2 or 3 feet deep, but it'll be water, it'll be a wet pond rather than dry pond. It'll attract more wildlife and be more aesthetic value. Thanks, Todd. So we need to have a motion to approve this letter to send to DAC properties. There have been 1 or 2 changes made, I think, Todd. So I'll make a motion to approve this letter with including the changes and send it on to DAC, which is the owner of the property. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Correspondence?
The only thing I have is what's in the report, which is the Rose Fire Company ambulance report for March.
How about the SPCA report?
That was last month. We had that.
Well, okay.
What about our
That was in your April packet.
You didn't have to put it that way.
Okay, sorry.
You could have put it more
What about,
kindly way, it would have been much more appreciated. But I went back on it, if you do
I didn't
that.
yell or holler.
I mean, it was a 3-month report.
It's quarterly.
Okay, well, that's 2 months, yeah, so, and they service, there were 4 dogs, I think, as I recall.
are we still going to donate to Animal Rescue, who does a lot more?
Well, I'd just like to know, at the end of the year, I don't know how much, we pay them, what, $3,500 a year?
3,200.
Okay.
Would you like to donate money like we did Animal
Well, I'd like to
Rescue
know.
again?
We have that in the budget.
I'd like to know how much it's going to be a dog. In other words, at the end of the year, if we only have, for example, we have 3 dogs, that means 12 dogs, and we pay $3,200, then, you know, it doesn't seem like it's cost effective. I get in trouble when I say these things, strike. But anyway, But we do want to monitor it. Okay, so that's our correspondence. Now, no one wants to speak. I mean, someone has got to say something to me. I mean, this is a chance for you to get up and vent. Please, somebody got to say something.
Closing public comments?
Yeah, public comment, yeah, anybody got public comment?
Get up. Who are you?
Dave James, 15565, and I know you drive. I just want to inform the board and Todd that York Water has started installing the new water mains in our community. They told me if everything goes as they plan, they think they'll be done at the end of July or first part of August.
And you're reasonably content with the progress after a rather slow start. Things are improving, shaping up.
With York Water?
What's your whole project?
Oh, yes,
Well, they're still
the end is in
alive,
sight,
and you're still alive.
and we're still alive.
DEP mandated that the Forest Lakes drain their ponds and make certain improvements, and it's been a very long process and very expensive for them. Okay,